The Fillmore Central Falcons stayed unbeaten with a 40-0 win over Louis Gen Altura on Friday night. It was a happy homecoming in harmony on a Friday night. Head coach Chris Mensink joining us to review that game. Coach, got to start with the defensive side. Anytime you shut out a team and hold them to 90 yards of total offense, that's a pretty good night. How'd you do it?
Well, I think, like you said, we had a great week of practice. Lewiston Altura was a team that they run the wing tee, so you got to be very disciplined in your assignments and play team football. So our kids really took that to heart and read their keys, and I thought did an outstanding job of controlling the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball for most of the evening. So, like you said, we gave up 71 yards on the ground, to a team that hangs their hat on running the ball. That's quite an achievement by our defense. So, got to compliment our defensive line of Tyler Gulbranson, Zach Craig, Lincoln Iverson, Braden Ingham, in his first game at defensive end, Blaine Niemeyer and Dakota Musselman, along with Joey Ristow and Brody Niemeyer and Tyler Mayer and Henry Liu. Those kids, we rotated a lot of different kids in there to keep them fresh. And I thought all those kids did an outstanding job. So it all started up front for sure.
How have you been able to establish so much depth on the defensive line, mentioning all the kids you just did?
Yeah, well, I think that's a tribute to the kids. And, we've got great numbers in our upper classes. We have 12 seniors and more than that in the junior class. It creates an atmosphere of practice with a lot of competition and a lot of guys earning that time. So we feel very fortunate as a 1A school to be able to rotate so many guys to keep kids fresh for offense and defense throughout the night. So yeah, that's having those numbers and kids that can play and the competition is a big thing for us.
And obviously it's homecoming week, and coaches will always have that focus worry in the back of your mind, but offensively you scored touchdowns on 6 of your first 7 possessions. What do you credit that start to?
Right. Again, the focus all week in practice. I thought the execution, I would say it was our most complete game in all phases when you're talking offense, defense, and even in the kicking game. I thought, like you said, scoring in 6 of our first 7, and even in the one that we didn't score in, we were down inside the 20, had a penalty and just kind of stalled out on down. So we had an opportunity in that possession as well to come away with some points. But, execution wise, again, our offensive line, I felt they're starting to gel. We have 3-4 new kids in there from last year. So they're starting to getting used to playing with one another, and communication has definitely improved over the last few weeks. And they're getting a good push up front. So Joey Ristow, Atlee Hirschberger is the veteran in that line, along with Tyler Mayer, Brody Niemeyer, and Henry Liu is new at right tackle. So those kids are starting to come together, and they've created some nice holes and good balance. Again, we talked about that last week. In the passing department, Chase was pretty efficient. He was 15 for 16 with 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, and he spread the ball around. I think we had 4 or 5 different receivers catch balls too. So to have those weapons at your disposal and to be able to utilize those and spread it around, and then having to have to defend the run and the pass with 228 yards on the ground. And Kyle Daniels had another big night with 134 yards on the ground as well. So credit to those kids up front and our quarterback and our Andy Todd, our offensive coordinator, really mixing the run and the pass.
And you mentioned that balance. You averaged 12.8 yards per passing attempt. You averaged 6.9 yards per running attempt. I'd imagine that numbers like that really allow you to stay on schedule and makes play calling that much easy. Fair to say?
Boy, we talk about that staying on schedule. You just said, don't get behind the chains, second and short and leaving the playbook wide open allows you to take some shots and be a little more unpredictable. So yeah, that's a huge key. We did have more penalties than I'd like to see. We did have 9 penalties, which caused us to get behind the sticks a few times. But for the most part, like I said, we stayed on schedule and stayed ahead of the chains and stayed within that, within the game plan that way. So that was huge for our play caller.
And when you have penalties like that, or sometimes when you get a hold or maybe a block down field, can you forgive some penalties when it's kids trying to make plays as compared to maybe pre-snap penalties where it's just a lack of concentration?
That is, yeah, you nailed it. We did have 2 pre-snap penalties of lining up off sides defensively. Yeah, those are things that we definitely have to eliminate. But 2, some of those hustle things downfield, we did get a few holding calls, but those are guys trying to continue to block downfield and make plays. We just got to continue to work on running our feet and keeping kids in tight. Also, it was some of those were later in the game, when you're rotating some different kids in there and getting them some varsity experience. So, yeah, definitely you have to take those things into account.
And this week you have a Thursday night game. From the outside looking in, I'll ask you because you actually know. Seemingly heading into MEA week, it's probably not a bad night to have a Thursday night game, is it?
No, that was kind of done by design.
Okay.
Because if you look at our schedule upcoming now, we'll play Thursday, then it's MEA Wednesday, and then your first playoff game is Tuesday. So rather than try to squeeze those games into a tighter window, it allows those kids a little bit more rest and recovery for their bodies. So a Thursday night game at this point of the year was kind of by design, but it will be good for our kids. Looking ahead at the weather, they're talking some rain Thursday and Friday this week. So hopefully they can keep pushing that back and we can, dodge that bullet later in the week too. So, but yeah, that's kind of by design, and our kids will appreciate that, as we move forward the rest of the year.
And you make the road trip to Wabasha Kellogg this week. What are you expecting come Thursday night?
Yeah, again, going down to Wabasha, Coach Klingbeil, he's got a unique offense, something that you don't normally see in a lot of places. So it'll be a short week of prep, but we're going to have to stay focused to, he does a lot of misdirection. And this year he's using some different kids in different ways and doing a lot of misdirection and dummy pulls and things like that. So definitely going to have to be prepared and ready for that Thursday night.
All right, Coach, hopefully you can keep the winning ways going. Keep your kids healthy. We wish you best of luck.
Thanks, Darren. Appreciate it.
Chris Mensink, head coach of the Fillmore Central Falcons. Falcons at Wabasha Kellogg Thursday night.